Hey everyone, how are you all doing? This video is a little bit late, but I thought that it was probably time that at least I threw my 2 cents into the ring about this topic. Surprise, surprise, I don't think Halo Infinite's live service is working. And I'm not specifically talking about the content part. This bit of criticism is more directed at like the structure of it. When you've got games like Call of Duty Warzone or Fortnite or even Destiny that have these like pseudo narratives going on to kind of compel players to play the multiplayer for emotional reasons, they kind of like weave in this crazy, often very convoluted and weird story, especially in the case of Warzone. Halo Infinite's trying the same thing, and Halo Infinite, I think, is doing the worst job at it out of all the live service games, and I'm gonna explain why. So keep in mind while you're watching this comes from a place of passion, okay? Because I think Halo has a universe that easily beats out whatever the Harley Quinn Godzilla nonsense is happening in Warzone. If 343 tried just a bit harder, they could make a pretty awesome live service narrative for the Halo universe. But right now, I just don't think it's happening. But you know what is happening? Today's sponsor! This video is possible thanks to the fine folks at Skillshare. If you haven't been in the loop, Skillshare is one of the biggest and widely used communities in the world for growing your own personal list of skills or learning a whole new set of skills. The list of classes range from art, to music, to programming, game design, and so much more. But the best bit is that new classes are being added each week, so there's always something to be on the lookout for. If you're interested in making videos for yourself, there's plenty of classes to help teach you editing, such as the Complete Editing Masterclass for Vegas Pro by Masuk Batista. Use the link down below to get a free month of Skillshare to explore the service for yourself and enjoy a completely ad-free and high-quality experience. A thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back to the topic. So before we talk about how this can all be fixed, let's talk about what's kind of broken, you know? So let's talk about the Academy first. The Academy is this place 343 wants you to believe in, you know? It's this hub where a new generation of Spartans are being trained. It's this place that we need to protect and defend. It's this place where characters reside and where most of the live service events happen. Think of it kind of like the Destiny Tower that we need to protect from outside forces. The biggest problem right now then with the Academy is it's not a place. There is no academy. It's not a location. What it actually is a little thing on the main menu that says Academy, and when you click on that, you've got a tutorial, and then you've got 2 little mini-game modes. A lot of hype and even production was put behind the Academy, like it was this big, really impressive thing. It even got its own spot on the main menu. But when you actually look at what the Academy is, it's really not worth having an entire chunk of the main menu dedicated to it, like matchmaking, like Forge would. So off the bat, the Academy, I don't really feel an attachment to it because, well, it doesn't exist. The second biggest thing that I don't think is currently working with the live service aspect of Halo Infinite's narrative is the characters. So a lot of emphasis was put on this Spartan commander character. She's brand new to the Halo universe. She got this really impressive reveal trailer that I still stand by being pretty good. It really hyped me up to get to know her. I thought she was going to be this awesome badass. But it's like after that cutscene, the game stopped trying. And as of right now, in Season 2, midway through Season 2, this Spartan commander, I just don't care. She's not jiving with me. One of the worst aspects I think that she currently has is, interestingly enough, her design. When I think of some of Halo's most iconic characters, they've usually got like a costume, something very like unique that makes them stand out, or they've got like a prop. I think of Captain Keyes' little pipe that he'd use in cutscenes, or I think of Lord Hood's very distinct white admiral uniform with hat. I think of Sergeant Johnson, who has that cigar, and sometimes even in cutscenes, that cigar would be used for dramatic or comedic effect, the way he chomped down on it. When you look at the Spartan commander, she's boring, man. It's just another person without their helmet on, which is a long line of characters from 343. And what's kind of weird is if you look at the concept art for the Spartan Commander, she looked way more memorable and unique. She had this badass beret on her head. I don't know what kind of got lost in the transition to 3D, but currently the Spartan Commander, she's just really boring looking. She's not memorable as a Halo character, and Halo has some pretty memorable characters. It also doesn't help that in a lot of the cutscenes, especially Season 2, she's got this very uncanny look to her eyes. They look almost red at times, and it gives this very uncomfortable, creepy feeling the way she just stares at you. And her face is animating at 30 frames per second. It makes her look very robotic-like. When we look at other live service games like Destiny 2, that game also has a multiplayer custodian of sorts. His name is Lord Shaxx. I know quite a bit about him. Whenever I visit the social hub of that game, I can hear his NPC shouting across the level. He's quite charismatic as a guy. This Spartan Commander, though, and the same criticisms of the Spartan Commander can also be aimed at the two Lone Wolves of the titular Lone Wolves Season 2. Outside of their admittedly more memorable looking Spartan armor, there's still just nothing really there. And so it kind of makes the hook that for completing these events, you get to talk to them hurt even more because, well, they're not that interesting to begin with. Most recently in Halo Infinite's live service, there was a cutscene where one of them just talks to you really about nothing and then tells you to go play more multiplayer. And it was rightfully, in my opinion, lambasted by a lot of Halo content creators because what is this? This is just filling for time. And finally, the thing that's really not gelling together for me is the story or the narrative itself. I don't know what's happening, and it feels kind of aimless and even toothless at times. The Academy isn't a physical place. It's not real. I don't have an emotional connection to it. So it being in danger means nothing to me. Who cares? Blow it up. I don't know what it is. I've only ever seen it in cutscenes in a tutorial. The characters of the Academy, I don't really care about either. They're just kind of mascots. They don't really have a personality. I'm not that invested in them. I don't have enough time spent with them. And their performances and personalities, and even in the case of the Spartan Commander, her appearance, they're just not that memorable or unique. Halo has better characters that could have filled the Academy. So when the marketing says that Season 2, the Academy's in danger, it's not gonna land for me, because I don't care. I'm not invested in the Academy. More work needs to be done by the developers to invest me in it. So all in all, that's why the live service element of Halo Infinite is not working for me. I don't really care what's gonna happen in the future, unless a more memorable character like the pilot from the campaign suddenly make an appearance. I don't care to see where this story goes because I don't care about anybody involved. Now, how can 343 fix this problem? I'm glad you asked. So, off the bat, what I would do to solve the problem of the Academy not working is I would actually transform it from less of just a main menu list of side game modes to a proper place that I can explore. Let me load into the Academy. I understand that networking and stuff requires quite a lot of testing as well as infrastructure developed. So if not a social hub, let it at least be a single-player hub that I can visit. Let me walk around, let me punch Marines and hear funny things that they'd say. Let me go up to vending machines and knock soda cans out of it. Just let this Academy be a real place that I can take in. I don't care if the bare minimum is put into it. As of right now, the most important thing to me is that I don't believe in the Academy, so give me a reason to believe in it. Even if it's just a bland, sterile place, let me run around that bland, sterile place. And then, over the course of the live service development, start to fill it with more things like NPCs, things that I can interact with, and eventually even maybe networking, so I can see other Spartans running around it and running off to their training sessions as well. And speaking of training sessions, so the firing range, I don't like how segmented it is. I don't like how it's broken up by a series of loading screens. If the hub was an actual explorable place, if the Academy was real, you could put the firing range physically in it. Instead of having to load up these separate firing drills, you could walk over to a weapon rack and pick up the gun yourself. It's all this one seamless, smooth transition that happens. And then for all of our customization and stuff, if you really wanted me to care about the Academy, Put some of my stuff in the academy. Let me have my own room that I can walk into. It's got my gamer tag on the wall. It's got my list of accomplishments, medals and stuff. Let me see like a weapon rack that's full of all the skins that I've collected. Let me see an armor hall, almost like Iron Man, where I can see all my different armor cores and stuff that I've collected. You want to make me worry about the academy being in danger? Put my stuff in it. Then I'll care about protecting it. And now the characters not really working, not being that memorable, well, force me to interact with them on a daily basis. Let me actually physically walk up to the commander. Let me hear her yelling at cadets from down the hall. Turn her into an actual character that is walking around this little hub area. Maybe she's the one that dishes out certain challenges. Maybe she's the one that I have to report to turn in my weekly accomplishments for the weekly reward. And then next, what I would do to round out this whole experience is stabilize the tone just a little bit. So starting with season 2, things got a little bit PG.
Are you done? Or do you need me to go find a muzzle?
So we've got this terrifying situation we're in, right? This Banished has infiltrated the AI chip of a Spartan. It's drilling into his brain. It's screwing with his body, like his life is in danger. But everybody's standing around and like smiling at each other, and there isn't this sense of urgency or danger that anybody's in. It also doesn't help that the evil AI itself is kind of played off for laughs and like something that you should laugh at, not actively worry about.
Weaklings, cowards! You will beg for mercy before the end.
We fought our way out of their shipyard, hijacked that Phantom, but the AI followed. Tried to offline the Phantom's engine.
Halo's always been pretty okay with its balance with comedy. I think of things like Halo 2, where that was like a masterclass in balancing drama with comedy. But Halo Infinite, I feel like the balance just isn't there. It's either way too serious or way too comedic, and it kind of cancels out both things and just makes me kind of feel like, how am I supposed to feel? I'd stabilize the tone a little bit. Season 2 was... it devalued itself just a little bit too much by all the kind of misfiring attempts at humor. And finally, introduce more humans. So this is a topic that's starting to rise within the Halo community, but people are starting to get a little bit tired of the focus on Spartan this, Spartan that, Spartan career, Spartan fantasy, Spartan ability, Spartan equipment. You catch my drift. Let's start to have some more humans in there. In the Halo trilogy, Master Chief was not really the focus of it. It was the people around the Master Chief. People like Johnson, people like Keyes, people like Lord Hood. And in Halo Infinite, it kind of feels like the humanity of the UNSC have kind of been left behind as everything focuses on the Spartans. In the Academy, why don't we have some actual regular humans around?
Ah. He tells me you've performed well so far. You're dismissed.
Spartans are good and all, but Spartan overload makes them just a little bit boring. I want to see a Marine, I want to see a Lord Hood type of character, or even a Drill Sergeant Johnson-esque character. Less Spartans, more people walking around, if you catch my drift. I understand that a lot of these things are kind of tall asks, especially in the world of game development. Things like I just proposed, like a hub world to explore, that would probably take like well over a year, if not 2 years, to actually properly develop. So I understand that some of this is just not really that realistic, and maybe, honestly, some of this advice would be better reserved for next time. But I think it's worth saying. Right now as a player, I think that Halo Infinite, out of all the live service games, is handling the live narrative the worst. Even games like Call of Duty Warzone, which barely have a narrative, there at least is a sliver of something going on. You've got the yearly campaigns that then jump into the live narrative of whatever's happening in Warzone. You see characters from the campaign actually interacting with each other in the multiplayer. And as dumb as it is, fighting Godzilla or whatever, you at least know who those characters are, where they come from, and even if it's a little bit lazy, there is still that hook in your heart, because you know those characters. With Halo Infinite, it's doing the very, very bare minimum with its live narrative story. And honestly, I think it could do a lot better, because Halo has done a lot better in the past. So those are the things that currently do not work about Halo Infinite's narrative live service, and those are the ways that I would actually change it and fix it going forward. I'm curious about what you guys feel in the comments section, so, let me know down below. Just talk to me, please. Also, what do you think of all this empty space? Looks nice, right? Alrighty, I shall see you all later. I gotta get back to work.